Hello and welcome to NewsWest 9's Midland City Council District 4 Forum. I'm Krista Escamilla. We are so glad that you are spending some time with us here today. We are excited to bring you a conversation with two candidates who are running for City Council, Jim Garrity and Amy Stretcher-Burks. Thank you so much for being with us today. We are so excited to learn more about you and why you're running for City Council. I want to explain a little bit about the format first for our viewers and for both of you. You will each have 2 minutes to answer the questions. They are very conversational questions. We're not trying to solve world peace here today, but hey, if you want to, go ahead. But it's just a fun way for us to get to know each of you better. So we're going to start with the most important one that I think everybody wants to know. Why are you running for City Council District 4? And Amy, we'll start with you.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes.
So for me, I'm a mom of 3, and I moved back 2 years ago. My husband was training in Kansas City and Minneapolis. He is a trauma surgeon. And so we came back and we purchased a home on the golf course in Grassland West, and we received letters from the city about rezoning and annexing the golf course behind us. And so we kind of took up the issue, worked with our neighbors, and I realized that there are certain council members that would listen, certain ones that would respond, and I would like to be in office to be approachable and listen and really care about the issues. And through Save Nueva Vista, I also learned about a lot of other issues. I want to support our first responders. I care about lowering property taxes, and our critical infrastructure is very important. I think the Wadley extension is also going to be huge, and I want to take care of that. And I think I can do really good for the community and be a good voice for District 4.
Great, thank you. Amy, Jim, why are you running for City Council?
Well, Nueva Vista certainly was a pinnacle moment, I think, for our community. I was head of the HOA at the time. The HOA board and the homeowners took a position against the development of Nueva Vista Golf Course. And I did a lot of interacting with the city, whether it was city staff or city council members or the mayor, regarding the concerns we had about Nueva Vista Golf Course. There were several factors involved. One was too much development. It was way too dense. Number 2 was not enough consideration for flood drainage. And the fact that at that time, the initial proposal showed homes that were going to be 80 feet from the existing homes, which was going to affect home values, was going to cause privacy problems for people with their backyards, and basically take away a beautiful area out of West Midland that was naturally built because it was a buffalo wallow back in the day, and it was a low point in a watershed. And I wanted to work hard to stop a bad development plan from moving forward. And so there was the HOA piece, and then there was the neighborhood piece, and the neighbors were rallying. So it was a combination. I think the combined effort, we were successful in making the Nueva Vista project go away. And I also am thankful that God graced us with a lot of rain, because we had the rain to show the flooding concerns, and that really validated our argument.
Great, thank you, Jim. And since you both brought up Nueva Vista, that was definitely a question that we were going to talk a little bit more about. So we will go ahead and go there right now since we're on that topic, and then we'll continue with some of the other questions. But first of all, just for someone in that neighborhood, I think everyone knows the issues, but maybe for someone watching today, why is that such an important part of both of your campaign platforms?
So why it's so important is I think the city process is one component of it. I think it's receiving a letter, knowing how many days you have to respond, to get signatures. It's a whole process, and I think that can also possibly be worked on. But it's important because the out-of-state developer was coming in and he wanted to create a high-density area behind the homes. It was not compatible with the neighborhood at all. Our neighborhoods are already being used as cut-throughs to get to the elementary schools. And the density that was required for the individual to make a profit was just not what was best for Midland, and the council agreed and made that decision. And so that's why it was so important. We were not only protecting our homes, but we were trying to say there's something better out there, and it needs to be better.
And it's on hold now.
Yeah, at the moment, yes.
At the moment. And Jim, why is it such an important issue for our community?
You know, we have such little green space in Midland, and where we do have natural green space, it's far away. It's in Midland, but it's not easy, and people, you know, have to go either to the far east side, like they're headed to Greenwood. There's a walking area there, and then down along I-20, there's a watershed preserve there with a walking trail. We have nothing on the west side, and so when we look at when you have such a precious piece of land that we do have, that's operated as a golf course losing money with a man who wants to retire and sell that property, I think it's incumbent upon us to help him be able to sell his property, because as a conservative, individual property rights have to be respected. And I know that gentleman would like to go and enjoy the rest of his life. Number two is, I think we need to look at this use of space. Currently, as a golf course, doesn't make money. And I'd love to see where, you know, there's a modest ability for him to develop his land, but leave a large majority of it safe and green space area that could be utilized for fishing. We have 2 ponds back there. We have wells. We can maintain the water level. We have cart paths that could be turned into hiking trails and biking trails. There's a lot of good things can come out of that. I don't really believe that the golf course is the solution, but it is a fantastic green space. And the thing is, it needs to be a place that all Midlanders can come and enjoy, and especially those that live in District 4. We just have little neighborhood parks, and it's great for little kids, but there's some opportunities. With the age change in Midland, we have younger people coming. They want to have space to ride their bikes. They want to have a place to go walk, you know, that's not just around the neighborhood. So I think we've got to preserve that, but at the same time, make sure that we respect the man's ability to sell his property.
All right. Thank you, Jim, and thank you, Amy, for your stance on both of these. It sounds like this is still an issue that is still going to be ongoing for the next few years, and we appreciate you sharing. But we want to talk about another issue that is facing everyone in your district. Is there one single most important issue, besides Nueva Vista, is there one single most important issue that is facing your constituents that you want to make change and you want to make sure that everyone is represented well in council?
For me, the main priority I see right now is finishing Wadley and making the Wadley extension go through. We have construction on 191, we have construction on Loop 250, and I think it'll really help the citizens be able to get around, and we need to complete that. And I know every day that we wait, the cost is getting higher and higher, and so I think it's something that needs to be completed. I think maintaining the roads we have, the critical infrastructure, that's something we will always be dealing with, but I think the extension of Wadley is definitely on the top of my list.
Great. And Jim, what's on the top of yours?
I concur with Amy. The Wadley extension is long overdue, and it's been delayed for years. It needs to happen. Infrastructure, if I was to look at it, I think the thing, if I prioritize, okay, what's the most single important, I think is law enforcement. Infrastructure is a close second, but law enforcement is my biggest concern. Our city is missing at least 30 officers that could be on patrol if they could be hired and retrained and retained. We have a number of patrol vehicles that are just parked every day. They don't get used. We have skyrocketing auto insurance rates. The accident counts are growing. I met with several police officers. They shared some of their stories about how they have other calls and priorities, because of that, emphasis on traffic enforcement has been reduced. I don't know about you, but I find Midland to be more and more unsafe when it comes to driving. People are distracted, they're on their phones, they're speeding through residential neighborhoods, and we've had that in our neighborhood where people are cutting through the neighborhood to avoid construction. And when I asked for how do we get improved traffic enforcement, the answer was, well, you can hire an off-duty police officer and he can help, because they don't have the manpower during their duty time to help and slow people down and make people safer on the roads.
Great, thank you so much for that. We want to talk a little bit about communication now, and Amy, you kind of touched on it a little bit. You mentioned when you had an issue that, you know, communicating with council members. How will you communicate with your constituents if you are selected to be the next city councilman, and how will they make sure that they are represented under your leadership?
Well, I think I try to really work well with others. I really try to listen to what everybody has to say. If there is an issue in front of me, I'm going to listen to both sides before I make a decision. I think that's responsible, and that's what I want to do. I also try to be approachable. I've messaged so many people that have written me or asked me questions, and I say, hey, just give me a call. We can talk about it. And that goes a long way. So I want to be out in the community. I live here. This is important to me. So I want to be out and about, and if you see me, please stop and say, hey, ask me about anything. That's what I want to do.
Great. Jim?
Well, I think, you know, communication, there's so many channels for communication these days.
Yes.
Obviously, social media is a big part, and we all know that. I think the other thing is there's also communication tools in the city that are underutilized. And that if we can get city staff and city government to improve their communication, to get the information out about upcoming road projects, to talk about city issues for the district, and specifically for District 4, it would make a big improvement on the relationship between city and the residents. We did not even know that there was a new housing project that was going to be built on Highway 158 across from Grasslands West until the bulldozers showed up. We have to change that. I don't think it's fair to the homeowners to suddenly wake up one day and find dust blowing in their backyard because bulldozers are moving dirt and there was no information. We have a public information officer in the city. I would be challenging city management to get more access for people and to put more information out on what's happening in the city with upcoming home development projects, roads and infrastructure. It's even hard to find out when the trash truck's coming by. It's just something I think is sorely needed, especially in the 21st century.
Now, when you have been out and about talking to your constituents, what is the number one thing that they come to you with? Because I know everyone has a different need no matter where they live, right? I'm sure your Grassland people, it's Nueva Vista. What about some of the other districts? Because your district goes, and maybe we can even talk about the boundaries. I know it goes down to, is it Thomason? And then goes over, how far does it go over into Wadley? So how do you, I guess the big question is, what are their concerns when they come to you, not just in Grassland?
So I've been doing a lot of block walking, and our district it's huge.
It is
it's
big,
all the way
yes.
from like Green Tree Boulevard south, all the way down to like almost I-20, all the way to the airport. So it's a very huge district. So the main things I'm hearing, believe it or not, I'm hearing property taxes. People are concerned about paying and keeping their homes. Inflation has hit. It's really a scary time for people, and so that's been a big concern. Then another concern I'm hearing is actually the trash, the litter around town, wanting to keep Midland beautiful and trying to understand what can they do. So I actually went and met with Keep Midland Beautiful, and I learned a little bit also about the litter fee, and I think there's some ways we can get involved and work together. Like there's the cash for trash or trash for cash, and I think with the litter fee, we might need to look into hiring some full-time. We've got to get a grip on it, and I know that's been a big concern. And maintaining what we have with our parks and the profanity on some of the parks, just maintaining what we have and keeping it clean so Midlanders can have some pride.
Great, thank you, Amy.
So in my visits around the neighborhoods, Legacy and Legends, which is near the stadium, the biggest concern I heard over and over again is the traffic safety. We have intersections that don't have stop signs, that should have stop signs. We have intersections that need traffic lights but have stop signs. And there's no response from the city when it comes to complaints about it. There was just a major accident yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, at Avalon and Deauville. It's one of the most dangerous intersections at 5 o'clock for that neighborhood, and it's something that's been a big concern for that community. Also, the other thing is the substation that used to be at Fire Station 6 next to the stadium is gone. So there's no police presence on the west side. They're all downtown. And of course, their policy there has been to keep law enforcement inside the loop and respond outside the loop as needed, because their requirements are there. So combine that with the lack of cops, we have call times that are later. I think the other thing too, and when I was talking to folks down around Annetta and Thomason, was the Thomason Road project. For months, the city left it as grooved and unfinished road. And everybody had to go up and down that road, and it was very inconvenient, and there was no really good reason. We heard about good reasons, but they weren't really good in the minds of the people that live there. And the last piece I'd talk about is the most controversial thing I heard, the roundabout at Thomason in Illinois. And boy, there's some people love it and some people hate it, and it does cause a lot of traffic problems. I keep hearing this over and over again. Traffic and safety are the two big things in those neighborhoods. The last thing I would say about Green Tree is this upcoming plan that they're talking about on the east side of Midland Drive, opposite Green Tree. And there's huge issues about traffic concerns, people cutting through Green Tree Boulevard, which both Amy and I know with all the traffic we see going through Grasslands these days, to get to schools and such. There's a lot of concern there about what is that plan going to look like? You know, and how is it going to impact traffic in Green Tree? And those are legitimate issues, and they definitely need to be addressed. And before they approve a plan, they should be including the community's input. and to how that plan would look, if it makes sense.
Well, y'all have very smart neighbors and future constituents, because those are all some issues that really do need to be addressed. So those are great and good to hear. Very, very good to hear. I want to kind of go back a little bit to something you mentioned earlier, Jim, infrastructure, really quick. If you are elected, what would be your major concern or the first thing you'd want to do about infrastructure?
Me? Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're
yes.
fine. So again, kind of the Wadley extension, I think is
Okay.
important. I think making sure that our water, our sewer, our critical infrastructure is taken care of, the maintenance. I think, if you have 4 roads that need to be done and it's going to take a year, start on a road, finish it. Start on a road, finish it, instead of all of them going all at once. So I think there's some things we can definitely work on a staggered plan so there's not as much cone fatigue. But that's kind of with the infrastructure, what's important to me.
Great. Jim?
Amy's spot on, Wadley Extension, 100%. There's some other issues that we're dealing with in the district, and that's the 191 Loop 250 interchange. The perception was from the city was that they were going to do it in phases and do 191 first, finish it, move to Loop 250. TxDOT, in its infinite wisdom, decided let's just tear it all up at once. And for weeks and weeks and weeks, commuters going between Midland and Odessa have been dealing with this backup and just a nightmare situation. The other part is, we because of all the traffic, we have an increase in noise. And we have a lot of residents that live, and not just in the Grasslands area, but around the loop, where the noise is getting worse and worse, and the enjoyment of your home isn't being affected, where you're constantly hearing trucks with Jake brakes going off. I want to find out if noise studies were done in this current project, because it's not fair to the people that live in the Grasslands area or that live along Loop 250 in our district, are having to deal with being able to, or not being able to go out in their backyard and enjoy a conversation with friends when all they hear is the sound of traffic getting on the 191 to go to Odessa. I think we have a duty and an obligation, even though it's a TxDOT project. I think the city has a lot more influence. And we need to step that up, because it's not fair to the people of District 4.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for both of your answers on infrastructure. I know it's important to a lot of Midlanders, and you all are bringing up some great points. Now we're going to have some fun, some quick, fun questions, okay? I want to know, and I don't know how fun this question is, but if elected day one, what is the number one thing you want to do? And it could be anything. It could be, hey, change your name on the outside of the door. Whatever it is, the number one thing you want to do.
Number one thing I would like to do. I think I would like to see for Midland take care of Nueva Vista. I'd like to see it a win-win situation. That's something fun I would like to do. And I'd like to see some fun things for our families. I have 3 young daughters, and so that's something I would really like to see. And I'm going to real quick pivot back with what he said about Green Tree, because Green Tree has been with the community. It's very important to listen to what the citizens have to say and what our district has to say. I think that's really important.
Absolutely.
And so we need to get the feedback, and then we need to vote based on the feedback.
Great. Jim, first thing you're going to do?
First thing, you mean like the morning after the
Morning
election?
after, you just found out, what are you going to do?
Sleep in, and then have a great cup of coffee and be grateful.
All
And
right.
one way or the other, win or lose, at the end of the day, we both are committed to serving the city. We both want to, we have similar ideas on a number of things. I think at the end of the day, City of Midland will be better for it. So, and I'm just grateful to have the opportunity to, participate in a process I've never participated in before. My background's been running a business, but I think I can take some of those business acumens and apply them to the city. Because I think the city needs to have a little bit different perspective than the way it's been operating for years. But I'll enjoy the coffee and my dogs, and relish the sleeping in. It's a fast and furious thing, this election process.
I bet it is. I bet
sure
it
is.
is. What is your favorite memory in Midland?
When I was in high school, I played on the Midland Christian varsity tennis team, and so actually my husband now played on it as well.
Oh,
and so
is that how y'all met?
Yes, that's how we
Okay.
met. And so I think kind of a fun memory for me would be driving. It might not be exactly Midland, but we would stop and eat at all the Dairy Queens, and we'd go play at all the tennis tournaments. And so it's just the community feel and how you can just drive around and do that. That's kind of important.
The Texas stop sign, right?
Yes.
Dairy Queen.
Yes, we
Dairy
know
Queen.
all the Dairy Queens. And just playing tennis, we had a great group of coaches, Coach Lanier and Coach Armstrong, and we had a really good team that was it was fun to play together.
Great, thank you. What's your favorite memory in Midland?
Two favorite memories. 2001, standing in downtown and watching a favorite son, George W. Bush, give a speech and then head off to Washington to an amazing inauguration. And then followed by 2009, being able to see the 747 fly into Midland International Airport for the last time. And seeing that big bird come in right at the end of the runway on Business 20. Just amazing. The sense of community when 9/11 occurred, just that whole feel about the tall city and standing out there in 28-degree weather with our new president speaking and talking proudly about his roots in Midland, and being a part of that was a great day.
Favorite restaurant? Someone's coming into town and you say, hey, you need to go there. Where are you sending them?
Well, I'm gonna send them to Jum Burrito or Casita Gerardo's. those are some good places. You cannot go wrong there.
Good food, good food.
So
where are you sending them?
So we'll exclude pizza and say my first stop is Wall Street Bar and Grill downtown. Love Wall Street. And the other one would be Max Barbecue, my buddy over there. He does a great barbecue and runs a great shop. And that would be, and whenever we get guests into town, there's two things, out-of-towners, two places, Wall Street and Max Barbecue.
Very good. And Domino's, right?
Yeah, well.
Well, thank you so much. It's been so wonderful getting to know both of you. I want to give you a chance in conclusion to just kind of wrap up and say why it is that you want to serve our great community, because I think anyone that does what you're doing, because I know how hard it is. You're going from forum to forum and meeting people, and it is a lot, and it takes away from your families and your businesses. So thank you for both for doing that. What would you like to say in conclusion?
Thank you again for having us.
You're welcome.
There's a lot of reasons, but I think honestly it's the Midland community. And I chose to come back. I was a kid in high school that always said, I'm going to stay here. I'm not going to go off. And so, believe it or not, I actually went to Kansas City and Minneapolis, but I came home. And we're going to raise our daughters here. I want my grandkids to be here. My father was the city attorney for a long time. This is home for us. So this means a lot to me. I'm ready to serve, and I want to do the best I can do. And so I hope they vote for me.
Great, thank you. And Jim?
You know, for 23 years, I've owned a business in the Permian Basin, from Pecos to Abilene into the big country. We have been blessed to have an amazing business grow over these last 23 years. You know, from a Domino's standpoint, we're the second highest volume market in the country for the brand, and that's been a lot of hard work, and we've worked really hard to get there. But the thing is Midlanders have supported us. And I want to give back. And I've had opportunities over my career to give back, whether it was Breaking Bread Kitchen or currently with the Permian Basin Honor Flight. But now I think it's time for some public service. I've done the charitable service. I think it's time for public service. And I'm semi-retired now. My wife runs the day-to-day. So I thought, you know, if I can help to improve the city and give back, that's my responsibility to the city of Midland. And I'm proud to be trying to do that today.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. And as I said, I appreciate you doing this because I know it takes a lot out of your family and to want to serve. So thank you so much. And we want to thank all of you for joining us today and remind you of some important dates to mark on your calendar. One is October 28th. That's the last day to request a ballot by mail. And early voting begins October 24th. Of course, Election Day is November 8th. Best of luck to both of our candidates who are here today. And we really thank you for your desire to serve our great community. And we thank all of you at home for joining us. We will have all of your election coverage on Tuesday, November 8th on NewsWest 9. We will see you then, and we hope that you make it a great day. Thanks again.
Thanks.
You did